All right, welcome everybody to the Fit Pro Show. Emily here in Fort Collins. Glad to be back. I know it's been a few weeks. And then we have David, of course, joining us from Houston. So yeah, happy to be back on the show. Had some, misaligned meetings. So it was great to have, Nick and Jason on, and actually Hannah is going to be joining us next week. So be sure to check Hannah and David out next week. But today we're going to talk about, stuff that prevents people from exercising regularly. So, we just finished TechMan Try. We had our coaching calls. And myself and David have heard from a lot of folks just these different areas that they're struggling with to actually get their exercise in. So we have a huge list. I'm hoping that we can get through them all, but if we don't, maybe we can do it into a two-part series. But I think where I want to start is talking about time. How about you, David?
Yeah, I think that's the big one we gotta address right away for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So, I kind of planned a few talking points. So I'll go into mine, and then David, you can add in any ones that didn't overlap, because I'm sure that we have some that overlap, and then we'll just kind of go from there.
Sounds great. Let's do it.
So cool. So the first one is what I like to tell folks is, build in shorter, more frequent periods of activity. So it doesn't mean you have to do an hour of exercise, right? If you have 20 minutes, 15 minutes, and you can go on a walk, or you can do a core exercise, or do some stretching, whatever it is, something is better than nothing. So those little micro breaks, I think that's why, our QFit classes are the way that they are. We do have longer ones, but we realize that your schedules are crazy hectic, whether it's with work or family obligations or just you time. So, don't beat yourself up if you can't get that full hour in. Build in shorter kind of those micro breaks. What about you, David? Anything to add to that?
Yeah, that was my first one. So I'm glad we started there. Just breaking up your day with small workouts, making sure that you have planned breaks uh dedicated to exercise and stuff like that. Working physical activity into your day somehow is a really good place to do it. Maybe it's not the optimal exercise routine for you, but it's certainly better than nothing.
Yeah, and that was like my second one, was kind of like scheduling it out. So throw it on your Outlook calendar, put it on your planner, have a plan in place when you wake up. And, if that doesn't go, the way that you plan, something comes up. I mean, that's life. Don't beat yourself up about it. I talked about decision fatigue with our contract manager Alita this morning, and she was talking about how she gets in the rut of like, okay, I only have 20 minutes, but I want to get in strength. I want to do stretching. I want to go for a walk. And it's really about deciding, okay, which one should I do? And I think, just kind of, realizing what your energy levels look like. So, or if you're a little bit more tired and you feel like, that 20 minutes is really going to be best for a walk, kind of just do a self check and figure out, what activity you want to get in for that 20 minutes. Another thing that I thought about was getting up earlier. Having a set time. Maybe you're waking up at 7 o'clock now, maybe wake up at 6 o'clock, so that either you can start your task, whether that's work, life stuff, that is going to prevent you later on from doing your activity, or do your activity in the morning. I know for me, starting in the morning, doing the activity, I have more energy throughout the day. It's over with. I don't have to worry about it later on after work.
Yeah, and talking about the getting up earlier thing, there's all types of little things that get in the way, right? So one of the easiest things to do is pack a workout bag or set out your clothes the night before. That's one less thing for you to be fumbling with in the morning when you already aren't super into exercising every morning. I guarantee you, not everybody is super into it every single morning. So just taking one or two of those things off your list, maybe you don't have to whip up breakfast. Maybe you have like a shake or something small, a little bar or something, so you have some energy ready for you, so you don't have those excuses to not get it in.
Yeah, definitely. And then, on top of that, one of them is, taking the stairs. I know we're not in office right now, but walking when you can, if you plan on going to the grocery store or, wherever, if you can walk, that's a great, excuse to get your activity in, right? It's something that's super small. If you can take your meetings on a walk, that's something that's super easy too. And then I think that goes into the other one that I had is kind of reducing TV and computer time after work, and or building that in with your workout. So if you really want to watch that show, but you also want to work out, put the show on while you're working out. Put that podcast on and listen to it while you're working out, or maybe you're doing a continuing education class on the computer, and you can listen and watch that while you're working out as well. And then, the last one is housework. So I think a lot of people think, doing the dishes or the laundry or vacuuming. My boyfriend and I were talking about how we should put weights on the vacuum because it's a nice little workout. And
Yes.
so those activities are movement. So don't think that like, you're not getting movement in when you're doing those.
Yeah, I love what you said about the TV or whatever else is taking up your time. Exercise instead of watching TV or during. Like
Yeah.
it's not rocket science, and it's 2021. Everything's streaming now. You can kind of mix those things together and get away with it. And certainly a sign of the times with this next one is bringing exercise home. That's just how it is for most people these days. You can get so much done with body weight or small amount of equipment, or hopefully some of our videos, our content, our cube fit stuff, our programs, all of that stuff. If you utilize those, good things are going to happen. So make sure that you do that. And one last thing, just for me, from a time perspective, is that I don't have enough time is really just an excuse. And I don't say that in a harsh way. It's just kind of matter of fact, because there are so many really busy people, professional people that are super healthy and fit, and you don't have to be, Mr. Olympia or whatever it is on a billboard to have that semblance of balance, and just make sure that you have time dedicated to you.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And that's not in a harsh way. I think when people say that, they're not planning their days out
Mm.
correctly. They're not actually taking the time to say, hey, this is when I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And I think it just goes back to one of our shows that we did a few weeks ago about planning. Plan your days out, use
Mhm.
your calendar, and dedicate time to you. So, cool. That's all I had for time. I think we can move along to maybe it not being enjoyable and boredom. What do you think?
Sure. Yeah, that's another big one. I can start us out if you want me to.
Cool. Yeah.
Because this is one that just kind of hits home for a lot of people. Maybe you just don't enjoy a lot of different types of exercise, and you say, well, it's not fun for me, right? One of the first things I say is, well, find some sort of fun activity, sport, whatever it may be, that is just active in some way. That can be a big first step. And how do you do that? You try different stuff, right? And if you've only been trying to weight train 3 days a week, and it's like pulling teeth every time that you do it, maybe you do that once or twice a week, and then on that third day you devote it to trying something new. That's a big way to find those things that are enjoyable for you. Yeah, that's definitely a big one. And another one that I think not enough people do is that they need to set small little goals along the way, little performance goals along the way, and then you track it. That's something that I've done for the longest time, because I don't want to just be spinning my wheels. If I'm going to devote some time to something, I want to at least be getting a little better over time. So I still have like the pen and pad notebook. My stuff is obviously like in Excel and all those things, spreadsheets, but I still like putting putting the pen to the pad and seeing when I got another rep or two, or seeing when I added weight and things like that. Those can be really motivating.
Yeah, definitely. That was two that I had, was, changing it up, trying new things, choosing activities that you enjoy, starting small, tracking it, giving yourself, some rewards. And then the last one is just like being social. So, I know right now some people don't feel comfortable, going to the gym or finding people to work out with, but when you do feel comfortable, find that support system, find people that like to do the same things as you and go out there and do it. It's going to make it more enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah, and then another way to do that, and it's just a way of mentally approaching it. And Nick and I talked about this with learning how to squat last week. Think of it as a skill. You're getting better at something. You're acquiring a new skill when you devote time to being more technical with it and, reinforcing some of these methods. So maybe just that mindset shift can get you where you need to be to do enough of it. And then another one that I have too is kind of noticing your mood around exercise, right? Me,
Mm.
after I exercise, I am just as chill as can be. And I'm usually like that, but it's because I exercise a lot. Like just being calm. Do you feel calm? Do you feel energetic or happy or whatever it is, or just not lethargic? Maybe you don't feel great, but you were kind of, feeling dull beforehand, and you got a little sweat, you got a little movement, and you're feeling better. Notice those things, and that will help you kind of reinforce everything.
Yeah, I love that one because for me, it's definitely a stress reliever. I feel so much better when I do it, and then when I don't, I can notice those moods, and I think that's definitely something that's gonna, inspire you to continue to do it for sure. Cool. Do you want to pick the next one?
Yeah. So, I mean, not enjoyable as one, but another one that I get is boredom. We can do that. Just feeling bored when they're training. I think of what we already talked about. Read,
Yeah.
listen, watch something while you're doing it. And then another thing that you can do is maybe if you're into getting your steps in or doing some cardio or something like that, maybe you try some new like routes when you do
Yeah.
that, whether you're walking or jogging or whatever it is. Maybe you go the same path every time. Take that path less traveled, and maybe it spices it up a little bit for you.
Yeah, I had all those too. And then also like just trying new challenges. We do a lot of different programs throughout the year. So trying some new ones, or even just, different walking challenges that you can do on your own, just to make it, more fun for you.
Yeah. Yeah, changing it up. And I do that with people. I do it for me kind of in a microcosm monthly with like what exercises or rep ranges that I'm doing, because I do like lifting weights, so I don't have to change it up 100%, but making sure that you are making some type of change so it doesn't get stale and you don't get bored throughout the time. But when we talk about like watching something while you're doing cardio or something like that, what I challenge you to do is think about some of your favorite things to do and then just move while you do it. Right? Maybe
Yeah.
maybe eating is one of your favorite things to do, and that one definitely doesn't work. But if you have, a list of things that you like to do and you could be a little bit more active with it, maybe you won't get as bored.
Yeah, definitely. That's where I'll go to like podcast or audible books because I really like to read, but I wish I could read and walk at the same time,
I
but
know, right?
definitely
Yeah,
can't do
totally.
that. So Hannah put in the chat box, whenever I call a friend or a family member when I'm on a walk, it makes it go by so much
Yeah.
faster and is more enjoyable. And yeah, I completely agree. That's probably one of my favorite things to do. Mike said, yep, same here. Great tip. And I think that goes to, also, putting on a book or a podcast. So, or some music. I love music too. So cool. Uh, I think another big one that I want to talk about is like being frustrated and like in the sense of not seeing results right away. I think that's one thing that people get really down about and get frustrated and then they give up, right? And so some of the things that I have is just like going back to being mindful and patient. So just know that like these things take time. It's not, you're not going to have an automatic result. You have to continue to set goals, and you have to continue to do those things in order to reach those goals. So just being patient with yourself, like David said earlier, making small little goals, and then hitting those, and then you can start making bigger ones, and you will see that you will reach those. And just going back to, something is better than nothing, right? I had the conversation with somebody about, if you forget to brush your teeth, right, you're not going to be like, oh well, I guess I'll start next Monday again. No, you're going to get up and brush your teeth, whether it's right then and there, or it's in the morning or at night, whatever it is. But it's not something that you're going to be like, oh, I'll do that next week. I think that's kind of the same mindset you should have with some kind of activity. Just because you couldn't get it in today doesn't mean you need to start all over next week. No, get up, do something tomorrow, or even get up within the next hour and do something. And then the other thing is, going back to seeing those small goals and achieving those. I think rewarding yourself in whatever which way you like to do, whether that's buying yourself a new book, maybe you're having some ice cream tonight. I don't know, whatever you like to do to reward yourself. I think that's something important to keep in mind.
Yeah. And as we talk through these, what's kind of being highlighted in my mind is it's all kind of how we perceive these things. Like we need to realize that this is a process. If you're, going through this endeavor, if you want to get more fit, you want to lose weight, you want to get stronger, whatever it is, realize that it's a process and we have to make adaptations with our body. And it's amazing that we can do that. It's amazing that we can manipulate these things, and you can like throw on a little bit more muscle or get a little stronger or take away a little bit of pudge or whatever it may be. It's really cool. And so when we realize that it's a process and you make those goals, then monitoring your progress along the way, I'll say it again, is huge, because you don't know how much better you're really getting if you don't track. Like you don't know what weight is used, and like you can't compare that to a month ago or 6 months ago. And when you can see that log, then it helps so much, because you can see, no, I am making progress. It's just hard to see day to day, right? That can be
Right.
said with body weight. You see yourself every day, or body fat percentage, or girth or circumference measurements, or whatever it is, range of motion in the squat. Making sure that you kind of track it and just have the mindfulness to know that it's a process. It's going to take some time, but you're going to get better if you stick to it.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. I think that kind of goes along with kind of being like intimidated or embarrassed. And it kind of just goes back to like, don't have the mindset of like being a failure. David and I were talking about this yesterday. We just hate that word. And I don't think anybody's a failure. I think everyone should look at so-called failing as an opportunity to grow and learn. So, I think it goes back to just don't be so hard on yourself. You're human. Things are going to happen. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. But I think going back to just realizing that you're human, be grateful for what you could do, what you have done. I think another great thing is finding a coach to kind of have that support system, and also just to try and like ease that intimidation or embarrassment, because we've all been there. I mean, like we didn't like study this and we're amazing at it right away, right? Like David and I, we've been training, we've been doing this for years. Practice makes perfect. But when we started, we definitely weren't perfect at it. We had to learn these things and get good at it. And so I think finding a coach that can help you along that way so that we're doing the movements properly, is a great way. And then just pumping yourself up. So words of affirmation, writing down goals, checking those off, and just, giving yourself some ease and just, rewarding yourself too. I like that one along with that. But I think those are the top three for me when I have people, come in and being intimidated. I remember working with a younger gentleman, and he was just so self-conscious. And then like 2 months later, after working out, he built a little bit of muscle, and he was like, I am so much more confident in myself. And he was like thanking me, and I was like, why are you, like, I helped you, but like it's all on you. You did the work, you're the one who showed up every day to actually put in the work. And so I kind of like threw it back at him, was like, no, you should be thanking yourself. And I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, oh man, I agree with everything that you just said. Really, really good way to start out that one. Intimidation and embarrassment is something that we all deal with, and it's not just in the scope of health and fitness. And that's why you
Right.
find a coach or you find a partner or something to kind of ease those. And we're saying this from a fitness perspective, but we're not good at everything. Just because like this is what we've honed into doesn't mean that I don't have somebody like I don't have like a financial advisor or like different people in my life
Right.
that help me with other components of life. So it's just kind of using that community, and know that not everybody's good at everything. That would be a kind of boring world. But knowing first of all that those feelings are common for everybody. And
Totally.
once you get into actually exercising a little bit more, maybe you start out at home if you're really feeling that, right? But maybe if you get back into the gym, find a time of day where it's less crowded and you're kind of
Mhm.
overloading in a different way, not the bar, but like your experience, like working out around people or things like that. And the big one is most people are actually worried about themselves, especially if you're in like a commercial gym or something. They're looking at themselves in the mirror or looking at their phone, and they're not really looking at you. You're focused
Yeah.
on you, and that's how everybody else is too. So try not to worry about it too much. There's little steps you can take.
Yeah, definitely. Stay confident and yeah, don't worry about it.
I know exactly how your client felt though, because I had that in a big way too. Like when I started lifting weights, it completely changes you. Especially I started it kind of younger. So you come back after one summer and you're like, oh man, I feel really good about myself. So, but you can do that at any age, male, female, any of that stuff. We can always get better.
Yeah, definitely. Well, cool. I think we can go on to maybe like having bad weather or like lack of equipment.
Mhm.
Um, that exercise setting. So for me, the bad weather is obviously moving it to inside. It doesn't always have to be outside. And that's where a lot of the on-demand workouts come into play too. All of our classes are recorded, we post them, so they're always at your fingertips. um, and I think that goes back to also, like, if you don't have equipment, that's okay. Like, you can get such a good workout just using your body weight. And I think that, especially when we all got sent home and it was like peak COVID time, people were like, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's like, you are perfectly capable of doing a ton of workouts with just
Mhm.
body weight. And I think it really opened up people's eyes and were like, wow, yeah. But another thing is like grabbing household items. I think Jason maybe did a video on this a long time ago, but there's so many things around the house that you can grab to add resistance, that you probably aren't even thinking of right now. Um, and then, like, on the flip side, if the weather is not bad, taking your workout outside, you can go to a park bench and do so much with just a bench, or even, a bar at a park, or, a tree. I don't know. There's just so much that you can do. And so I don't like to hear that that's an excuse.
Yeah, yeah, and if is bad, then just keep it indoors, right? For the most part. And if you're wanting to get outdoors, just dress for the occasion always.
Yeah.
You know, we're dealing with different climates. Emily and I are, so we're not going to dress the same way on the same day for necessarily like the same workout
As you
because
can
we're
see.
different. Yeah, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
dressing for the occasion is a big one, but another big one for me here in Houston is find a time of day that fits a little bit better, because there's
Mm.
a big block in our day, Houstonia. I see some Houstonians on, that is gonna be really rough, and I've done it, and it's not the most fun. Like, you can get through it, but there is heat exhaustion and all those types of things. So if you can, especially this time of year, a little bit earlier in the day feels great, a little bit later in the day feels great as well.
Yeah, definitely. And that, yeah, I think that goes for anywhere, wherever you're at. And maybe even taking a look at what the weather's going to be like the night before. And I know that's not the most reliable thing, but it gives you a little bit of an idea.
Yeah.
Cool. The other one that I really want to go through is like injury and the fear of becoming injured again, because I see that a lot. I hear that from a lot of people. You know, someone gets hurt deadlifting and they're like, I'm never deadlifting again. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And so I think that's like one of the biggest ones that I hear from people. And so the first thing is getting the right care, which we've talked about this a few weeks ago. Finding the right person that is going to help you get to healing, right? And sometimes you might not need somebody. Right now, I'm kind of dealing with a little bit of a sprained ankle. It's not like I went and saw somebody. I'm just doing the things that I need to do. Um, and I think that goes back to being conscious and doing kind of those self checks like we talked about on that show. You know, waking up and taking a self check of that injury, like, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, how does this feel? And then gauging that to your activity for the day. Um, and then also, you know, how are you going to recover as well for the day? Um, and I think the other thing is like taking your time with healing. So, you know, just know that it might take longer than you expected, and that's okay. But we want it to heal correctly and fully so that you don't go and injure it again. And then, you know, that fear of becoming injured again, you know, I see that a lot, and I hear that from people, and I totally get it, right? But I think it just goes back to you're human, like things are gonna happen. But if you, one, are doing things right, if you're learning from us or somebody else on the proper form and technique, that's a way to prevent that from happening again. Again, getting to work with a coach so that you can learn how to do these things and to prevent that. Maybe you're doing a fusionetic assessment with us to figure out what imbalances you need to work on. And just again being in your head of like, get the whole idea of like, oh, I hurt myself deadlifting last time, so I'm not going to do them. Just throw that idea out of your head. That shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, yeah, a big one there is just kind of the confidence of coming back once you've been injured. That's really tough. You see it even with professional athletes and things like
Totally.
that all the time. If it's, you know, especially if it's a high impact sport or something. But it goes for everybody. I'm dealing with a client right now who is having some shoulder issues, and we're working around it, and we're working with her doctor too to like kind of figure out exactly what it is. So obviously I'm not going to stress that area of the body, but she knows that between me and between her that she has this team of people, so it's not just guesswork that she's throwing at it.
Right.
So get help and get better.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, we're at time. Thanks everybody for hopping on with us today. I had double duty on Cube Fit Bites and then here with y'all. But thanks for being on. Next week we're gonna have Hannah on. We'll have another great discussion. Thanks everybody.
Thanks everyone. Bye bye.